What's up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of the Fandom Effect podcast. As always, I am your primary and better host, the Bushido Geek, your guide to all things fandom, whatever they may be. Joined, and never mind. Anyways, I'm by myself today, and today,
Right.
shut up.
I finally came back for you, Mark.
Yeah, because you had so much other stuff going on.
Well, yeah, I mean, I finally have to have something on my hands at all times, right? So it's a little weight down on the left side now.
Well, you do lean to the left, so it's not uncommon.
And let's be honest, Mark, I'm your Jill Valentine to your Chris Redfield.
Well, we'll see. I don't know if I want to be him anymore.
Well, I mean, what's the?
I don't know yet, but I haven't watched the game being beaten. But if you didn't catch that little drift, today we decided to take, with the release of Resident Evil Village, which some are calling already the best game in the series, we decided that it'd be a good idea to kind of take a episode and talk about Resident Evil as an overall franchise, so obviously primarily being video games and movies. I mean, there is animes related to Resident Evil, but not really, like not anything that's ever hit like more of like a mainstream audience. But yeah, I mean, Resident Evil is huge, man. I don't know how much you've dabbled in Resident Evil, but
I've dabbled. I've done. Let me think. I've done 2, 4, 5, 7. I've done they had one for Wii, which was fun because you actually had to lock in the controllers into like their little gun situation they had for Wii for a minute. That one was cool.
Yeah.
So you're in. That was like because all the Resident Evils up to that point was like third person, and then this was in first person.
Yeah,
that was cool.
Yeah, and so there's been a few like animated movies. There's not really been like a set anime, but this year on Netflix, Resident Evil Infinite Darkness is going to come out in July. So that'll be like the next like I mean, it's going to be an animated movie, but I mean, that'll be like the next movie in the Resident Evil franchise. I'm pretty sure it stars Leon. From 5.
Yeah,
no,
Leon,
4.
Leon
yeah,
Kennedy.
yeah, Leon Kennedy. Yeah, from 4. 4? Is he 4 or 5?
I know he's in 4 for sure.
I can't remember who's in 5. I liked 5. 5 was the last one I primarily played because, correct me if I'm wrong, but 5 was the first primarily co-op game, right? Wasn't 5 the first co-op one?
I think so.
I know it was co-op, and I'm trying to remember if it was the first co-op because there's been so many. So there's always the main ones. Like technically, Resident Evil Village, they've explicitly said this is not Resident Evil 8. It's Resident Evil Village.
Yeah, because like Leon was in 2. He's technically in 2 as
Right.
the main character.
Yeah, and for the purpose of time, for those of you listening, we're not going to be covering a lot of the off-brand stuff like just Resident Evil Survivor, Code Veronica, Dead Aim, Outbreak, Mercenaries 3D, Operation Raccoon City, Umbrella Corps. Like, we're not going to be covering the side games. I mean, I know some of them are pretty good, but we're primarily going to focus on the core of like the games and then obviously the movies, which to this day, I mean, we're going to be jumping around a little bit, but I've seen all the movies. I don't know how the hell that franchise made it to 4 films. They're all so bad.
6.
Or 6. Yeah, 6. Yeah. They're all so bad.
They are.
So bad.
They are. Because it's like they tried to shove as much as they could into it and just keep going and keep shoving and shoving. It's like we talked about this on previous podcasts when it comes to video game movie. Do not try to rewrite your own story. If people love the game, do not try to rewrite that story. Just basically do the best adaptation of that story you can. And then it will come out it'll come out to be a great movie. That's why Mortal Kombat is good as it is. I mean, granted, they have a new character in there, but still.
Well, yeah, but there's a reason why the new one is so much improved upon from past movies. But like, for me, the main thing when it came to the movies was that like they tried making Valentine, because it was Jill, right? Mm-hmm. They tried giving her powers from the T virus, but they looked so hokey Like, if you look at what powers make sense in the T virus, you can look at stuff like, obviously Ethan has some powers kind of in 7 and 8. I mean, spoilers, I haven't played 8 because I don't have money for new games, but I'm watching the Chugs on Twitch play through Resident Evil 8. And there's a scene where Ethan literally gets his hand cut off and just reattaches it and then just pours healing salve on it and his hand works again. So, like, clearly he's got to have some sort of powers or that just makes no sense at all.
Yeah, so like Mia Djokovic's character Alice, like throughout the whole thing
she's
is
got
just not. It has nothing to do with like any of the other characters, which is weird. And it's just like to that point, and then all of a sudden they're like, "Well, you know what we should do is we should probably pull in some other people into it."
Yeah,
it's
like the because you can look at games like Resident Evil 4 when you're fighting Wesker, and like he's not like really mutated from the T virus, but he can like move crazy fast and he's stronger and blah blah blah. Like, so yes, the T virus can give people those kind of powers, but the way they portrayed it in the movies is just like super hokey. And then like there was those scenes where like she figured out that they were trying to like clone her, so she's got like 30 clones of herself teaming up to invade the underground Umbrella Corp. In like movie 5 or whatever it was.
I don't know. I like the only one I kind of like could stand was the one where they actually put Nemesis. They actually put Nemesis in the movie.
Oh yeah. I think.
And I was like
3 or 4 or something.
Yeah, and it was like there was a cool concept that they threw him in there finally, but at the same time, it's like.
Yeah, but I mean, I get it. Resident Evil is one of those games where it's like Silent Hill. I mean, I know we're talking about Resident Evil, but Silent Hill is always a good comparison to be like, how do you make the game, how do you make the movie like a game that's primarily popular for how the game is played? Like what makes, Resident Evil is obviously popular for what the Resident Evil games are, like the puzzle solving and the way you get like upgraded guns, the way you can upgrade your guns, like, treasure, like, all these kind of like horror element, jump scares, like supernatural feel to it. And so I think the movie went like way too Hollywood with it. And then on the reverse side of it, Resident Evil or Silent Hill went like too much into the video game realm of it.
Yeah.
And they made it too identical and they didn't like put in enough. Because that's the thing, because no offense, you can even look at Resident Evil 8 so far. As a game, amazing. You turn that into a movie, pure crap.
Yeah, I think the weird thing is to me, though, is I feel like if they took the writers of the video game and made them the writers of the movie, I feel like that would bring out the game better, like bring out the movie better. Because the storyline that they're bringing out for 8, and I'm going to just kick back to 7 because Biohazard was so good and it was creepy and that's the kind of stuff that people like. And even people like everybody that I know that is playing the current game, number 8, they're creeped out. They enjoy it. Then there was also the aspect that they threw up that was, oh, okay, well, you like this creepy factor. We're going to give you a VR version of it.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, you play a VR version of that game?
Yeah, VR Resident Evil is like, when I get a VR system eventually, like Resident Evil will probably be one of the first games I get in VR just because of like wanting to experience that in VR. So again,
I wouldn't want a zombie.
I'll put spoilers at the beginning of the episode just to say like, hey, there's going to be spoilers for Village in here, just from what I've seen. But like also where I'm going to give Village a lot of credit in terms of just an overall game standpoint is like, so obviously your daughter's kidnapped or whatever pretty early on in the game, and your mission's to find her. And Chugs is only like, I mean, he's only beaten 1 out of the 4 bosses, and then there's the main 5th boss. So like, you gotta, maybe he's 15% through the game, maybe, like at most. And already you find out your daughter's already been killed and turned into like this crystal essence and separated into 4 containers. And you're told you can save her, but you got to get all of her pieces back together. But I'm like, so obviously your daughter has powers or whatever. But just like imagine, I mean, like you're 50% through the game, your mission's to find your daughter, and then this guy's like, oh yeah, no, she's been dead, like literally since she's been dead since you got here, man.
She's been dead.
She's been dead, man.
No, like that's the thing, like we've been talking off the podcast about some of the games we've been playing lately, and when I was telling you about Arkham Knight and stuff like that, the aspect of the game is all based around a story. Now, you don't want an overly driven story game because then it's just like, okay, I have no freedom to roam. I don't have any reason to really do anything but go to
Right.
A point, B point, C point, and having the ability to roam like you can in Arkham is nice. But then the point that Resident Evil pulls in is that, okay, now we're going to throw in some puzzles at you. Okay, so if you're in one section in the puzzle to complete it, you have to go to another section, come back, grab those pieces to build out something to create the next piece. They did that kind of stuff in Resident Evil 7, and that was cool to me. Like,
Yeah.
because it makes you think in a game that makes you think is, I find it to be more enjoyable. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm also the type of person that will go on Call of Duty and just shoot people because
Well, yeah. I mean,
there's no brain needed.
yeah, I still play like Halo and stuff. And then just okay. So don't get me wrong. So also, I didn't realize this. You still don't know what Ethan looks like. Not
No.
really.
You know what his hands look like?
Well, what's left of his hands? They are hardcore fixate on the damage to this guy's hands. I mean, beginning of 8, you get half your left hand ripped off. Like, so he is enhanced.
Well,
He's
Ethan
infected by a
Winters,
virally enhanced fungus called mold. It's a fungal superorganism. It's a means of mind control. So he was infected, but it was just something to give. But I don't think it enhanced his abilities at all. But
it looks like Ethan Winters. You can actually find him on. You can find him on they have like a wiki page with him.
yeah,
His first, he was in 7. He was the guy you played as in 7.
Yeah, he was a guy. Yeah, which Resident Evil doesn't do that too much, where you play as the same person from one game to the next. So to be playing him,
they'll do like Chris Redfield's in, like, let's say Chris is in 1. You have Leon in 2. Then you're
Leon
back to you're back to Chris. Then you're back to Leon. Then you might go to Jill. Then you might go back to Chris. They do that stuff on purpose so they can keep it fresh. But the fact that they are continuing the story, I find that to be very interesting, and I find that to be fun.
Yeah, because it gets all over the place, like with where they do. Yeah, because five was Chris Redfield.
Mm-hmm.
2 was Leon, and then so again, you talk about longevity of something. Resident Evil 1 came out in 1996, and it's 2021. So I mean,
yeah. Which, spoiler alert on this one, you actually have Chris Redfield in 8.
Yeah, he does show up, and so it started with Chris Redfield in 1. He was the protagonist of the first Resident Evil, and he's in 8.
So
we don't know what's going on. He's kind of I mean, at least so far, he's kind of a dick.
Yeah. So, for those who are into horror games and want to enjoy something that they've probably haven't played yet, and they enjoy something that's a first person compared to a third person, highly recommend Resident Evil. Third person is a lot of the older games. They're going to run in third person. I know 4 for sure was in third person because that was something I had to get used to. But you also had that dude that was like, you'd walk up to that was trying to sell you stuff. He'd be like, "What are you buying?
Yeah, what are you selling?"
And also,
I love 8 for giving that throwback to 4, because 4 had by far what's considered the most popular merchant, like that guy. And I love how in 8, you'll be talking to Duke, and he'll be like, "What are you buying?" And he'll be like, "Yeah, nothing. It's something a friend of mine used to say." And I'm like, what a cool throwback to be like, just a little. And he only says it once in a while, but it's happened with Chugs, and Chugs like cracks up every time. But I mean, like, what a cool throwback to Resident Evil 4. Just like they're all somehow connected to each other just because they're merchants. Like,
yeah,
they're just connected to each other.
Now, so like the whole thing to me is going to be, we're gonna see where this takes off now via the games, but I think that they're basically done with the movies. My wife's gonna kill me about this closet. But the thing is that I think that they're going to progress the movies now. They're gonna kind of change it up, and They're not going to keep making the Mia
No.
Djokovic ones. I think they're going to go to an animated style now and keep
Which
running with it.
there's been 3 animated. Well, there's been 2 animated ones coming out, or that have come out, and then obviously the third one is coming out in July of Resident Evil Infinite Darkness. So yeah, I mean it would make sense that they're going to stick to more of an animated movie style, because it hasn't been that long since the last Resident Evil like live action movie came out and was terrible. So like at this point, you kind of have to wait until something comes along that makes sense to do for a Resident Evil game. And like honestly, like you could just, I feel like if they try to do too much, like just keep it really simple as a Resident Evil game. Literally have the game star like Chris Redfield or Leon, and go with like a mixture of like Resident Evil and like Silent Hill location setting. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and to me, like it's weird because we're at the point with Mia Djokovic where it's not that I'm trying to rip on her, but like minus the Fifth Element, if she's a main character in something, it's gonna be bad.
Well, yeah. I mean, I mean, obviously she was good in Fifth Element, obviously, because Fifth Element's a great movie. But from what I've seen of her in Resident Evil, she just overacts, like in the movies, like hardcore overacts to where it's like it gets like a little ridiculous of like everything. And I don't know. It's an interesting. I mean, also it's like the games have just evolved. You get the first 2. Obviously, I know the second one just had a remake not too long ago, and those are like just a very simple. You're in a town, you're under attack, and you just run around, and you shoot zombies, and that was it. It really wasn't too much else to the games besides that. But now you get into like these crazy mutations and like horror and like supernatural. So I don't know, like I've always wondered, like,
it's funny to me that they kind of changed that aspect of the game.
Yeah.
Like it was, or if you remember,
what I'm wondering is
it was just zombies, and now it's like,
yeah, so I don't know. I don't know if it's them trying to adapt and keep the games like constantly different, or if they just give like, or they're just taking kind of shots in the dark, because it was pretty consistent for a while. Like 4 had some like weirder elements to it, but it was still like psycho killers, and there was T-virus mutations, but it was like pretty consistent with like what you were doing.
Mm-hmm.
And then 5 kind of started to change. I never played 6, but I heard 6 was really bad.
I didn't play 6,
and then like from 6 and on, because obviously after 6 was Revelations, and then Biohazard, and then obviously the remakes, and then you have Village. But like it's all changed into like now, like especially with the last 2, just really diving into like the supernatural. Like these people have like powers, not maybe from the T-virus, but they've got like weird mutations now from the T-virus. And like Raccoon City's like, or Umbrella Corp is always involved. Like 8 just started showing where Chugs is at in the game, like just started showing the symbol of Umbrella Corp, to tie in that like Umbrella Corp is still involved here, which obviously still ties the game into connects. But like the T-virus used to just give people like weird mutations, and now it seems it's giving them like special weird powers and like weird supernatural mutations. So I don't know how I feel about that.
Now I know you recently got your second dosage. Are you getting any mutations or anything from the T-virus?
I mean, I get 5G wherever I go, but I think that's just like, that's probably a normal thing.
Oh, okay. I didn't know if like the T-virus is causing you
no,
to,
yeah.
like,
I mean, I bought
anywhere.
No, or... I mean all praise Bill Gates, but I think I'm pretty normal.
Oh, okay.
For the most part.
For those listening, he's not normal.
Everyone should
Mark's
buy.
Eye is slowly sliding off of his face.
Everyone should buy Windows keys, even if you already have Windows. Just throwing it out there.
Actually, Windows 98 is making a comeback currently.
Just buy all the Windows keys you can.
No, that was actually one thing I have to bring up. Like, I don't know if you remember at the beginning of COVID that like everybody was trying to piece stuff together, and there was like this big, huge theory that like everything that happened in Resident Evil was actually going to happen, and
Yeah.
the building next to like where the bat first was like had like a logo, and it looked like the
It
Umbrella
looked like Umbrella
logo,
Corp.
and
Yeah,
everybody
I
was
remember
like,
that.
"Oh my god!" And it was like I was laughing so hard. I'm like, "Dude, really?" So like we have to go and sit on top of our roofs now and just like start picking off zombies. And I brought that up to my mom the other day about it. Actually, was that if her and my dad become zombies, I love them, but I have to
Shoot you
survive.
right in the face. Right in the face.
As we learn from Zombieland, double tap that head.
Double tap. You always double tap.
But no, like that was something that kind of makes me laugh because there's so many things out there that Resident Evil pulls from, or people pull from Resident Evil, and
Yeah.
not to say that there wouldn't be zombie movies without it, but the whole mutant zombie situation, I feel like would not be a thing if Resident Evil didn't become as big as it did.
Yeah. Well,
And
it's because Resident Evil is one of those weird like fandom franchises that's like transitioned past what they originally obviously were, which was just a video game. You don't get a major motion picture if you're an unpopular franchise, let alone 6 of them, regardless of how bad they are.
which that's just the weirdest thing is like, how do you have such a bad movie, but then like you have 6 of them?
Yeah, like, and because it's like they none of them were really, none of them ever came to fanfare. But I mean, the main point being that like you were saying, that like Resident Evil did as a franchise just influence a lot of different things. Like, and I feel like made changes I feel like other major franchises made changes because of what Resident Evil was doing with like mutations. Not saying that like other franchises went the same zombies mutate with the T virus route, but like I feel like other horror franchises started doing weird mutations. You know what a good example? I mean, this is a huge reach. But like look at like Dead Space as like a franchise that came out like mid 2000s, where for the most part every creature you fight is this weird mutated creature that got infected in space, by something infected all these weird things, and you're fighting all these weird looking crazy monsters. Like that's, what I mean? Like I feel like games like that wouldn't have been as popular if Resident Evil wasn't like a thing before that. Because then you can look at something on the flip side of it and be like, Doom's always been a popular franchise, but they've never dealt. Even you can look at the new game with Doom Eternal; they stuck with the same demon route. They didn't. So like it's weird because you can see like games that hardcore franchises that were started like long time ago have usually stuck to their roots, and then it seems like newer franchises like are adapting to like this mutation zombie thing where it's like, boss battles have multiple stages. Because Resident Evil, I would say, not pioneered it, but like was one of the greater influences of making multi-part boss battles where the midway through the fight, the boss like mutates and does stuff.
So I'm actually looking up 20 crazy things that you didn't know about Resident Evil, because we want to make sure that, those out there listening aren't just hearing me and Mark ramble like we tend to do sometimes. So I do want to tell you this, Mark. How different would the movies be if George Romero was not fired from the Resident Evil movie?
If what?
George Romero was not fired from the Resident Evil movie. Like it would be like such a different film. And
yeah,
I feel like it might have been better. Because I mean, you think about it, Homeboy, he kills it with a bunch of other films that are out there. And he was the godfather of zombie horror. So I feel like
that's true.
It would be 10 times better. There's also, I guess, a lot of Queen references in Resident Evil.
Okay, so I did. Here's something interesting with the movies, and why there was at least 6 of them, at least from a money standpoint. So take a guess. We'll do a little game here, and those of you listening at home can guess along before I give you the answer. What would you think out of all 6 movies? What would you think? Pick what you think that the top one cost, like to produce.
The first, like the very first one, or you saying
no, like out of all the movies,
one?
Out of all the movies, and then like pick one, and then tell me
$40
how
million.
much you think it. Okay, and how much do you think the
worst
top one made? Like,
Oh, the top one.
yeah.
Like, how much did it
How much
make
domestically? Like
To-
worldwide?
to make?
No, like how much they earned.
250 million.
Okay, so the top movie in terms of cost was Resident Evil Retribution in 2012, which cost 65 million to make. That specific movie made 240 worldwide. The top grossing movie was the most recent one, which made 300 million. So out of all the movies, they cost 292,500,000 to make between all of them, and they've made 1.2 billion. So they've made $1 billion.
How?
That's just that's what
I think people are just at that point, like, like,
okay. So I didn't know this. Okay, I honestly did not know this. I this is news to me on this one. Movie 9 is coming out in November. Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City.
I figured they wouldn't do another one because of like her doing Monster Hunter and that flopping. But
oh yeah, there's another one, right? She gets the lead in Monster Hunter. And just, boo! Like, maybe you should stay away from video game movies. They're not working.
What? There's another video game movie? What is it called? What is it? Do I get to shoot something?
Screw it, I'm doing it. I'm doing it.
Do I get to shoot something? No, it don't matter. Actually,
it doesn't matter. Whatever. Screw it, I'm doing it. Screw it,
I'm doing it.
Oh yeah, I'm doing it. Screw it.
It's just the whole movie is her saying multi-pass. That's all
I'm doing it.
It's her saying multi-pass.
Yeah,
we just need you to walk in the scene and say multi-pass.
So again, this is real. 2021 Resident Evil: Welcome to Raccoon City. Again, the main, so they've changed it. The lead now for Jill Valentine is the girl who plays that ghost person in Ant-Man and the Wasp, the one that can phase in and out of reality.
Yeah, I think
Hannah John Kamen.
Yeah, I think she plays in.
She's in Ready Player One too.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what other. There's another movie she's into.
Black Mirror, Killjoys.
I think it's the Black Mirror show that I remember her from too.
Game of Thrones. She was in Force Awakens, had a bit part.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, so she's going to be taking over as Jill Valentine. Chris Redfield is going to be Robbie Amell. Stephen Amell's
No, cousin. I know who you're talking about.
Oh,
bro, really? That dude better get like
Chris Redfield.
Like, I don't want to say like he better be juicing, but like
it says Leon Kennedy is going to be played by Avon Jogia, who doesn't look anything like Leon Kennedy. Like Leon, I get. Like,
are you sure that this is going to be a live action movie, not an animated movie?
I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. It just says it's in post production.
It's real. It's got photos.
Yeah.
Showing them filming. Oh my gosh, this is gonna be
okay.
So
look
bad.
At the guy playing Leon Kennedy and Evan Jogia, and I get the issues when we tend to whitewash roles like Scarlett Johansson and Ghost in the Shell and movies like that. But Leon Kennedy, now they're doing the reverse. Leon Kennedy is a white dude.
Okay, so for those who are watching, those who are actually watching us live, or not live, but are recording, will be able to see a visual of who we're talking about. Just to put that out there ahead of time, we do have a Claire Redfield as well in there, which is nice. I like that they're doing that. But so Leon Kennedy, so
yeah, that's the guy playing Leon Kennedy and Avon Jogia, who I mean, that doesn't make sense to me.
So I think the only thing is they're like sitting there like looking at this picture, and they're like, this guy, he looks just like him with his hair.
Identical.
I like his hair. There we go. Perfect. Throw him on the movie. He
does a lot of like zombie stuff or horror stuff, which is probably why they went with him, because he has experience doing like that kind of movies. He doesn't look like Leon Kennedy.
So for those who are listening, the best way I can describe this guy, if you've ever watched the show Victorious, he was the guy Beck. He was the only guy, like big. He was like the hunky dude or whatever he was.
Yeah. Okay. So we have movie number 9 coming out in November of 2021.
I got Ian Wong in this one too.
Welcome to Raccoon City. So I mean, I guess at least they've changed up casting, right? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, so they have like, I mean, they have Ada Wong in there as well,
yeah,
um, which
like
is nice because that's Leon's partner, and then like,
I like the guy they cast for Wesker, Tom Hopper. He's in Black Sails, Game of Thrones, Merlin, a lot of really popular TV franchises. The Umbrella Academy, the more recent one.
yeah,
Um, I really like him as an actor, so I'm fine with that.
yeah, even though he had like really like 4 lines in Game of Thrones, which was just funny to me.
Yeah,
But
but
like,
he crushed it in Black Sails. That was an amazing show. And Merlin, he did a good job in Merlin too. I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that one.
yeah, I mean, Wesker. The bottom line is we can't really make these judgments until we see what's going on. But
Right. There hasn't even really even been like a teaser trailer uh yet for it.
yeah, I
So
mean,
we'll have to wait until a teaser trailer comes out to see like an early vibe on like with it seems like they're going more zombie route, which is what we were just talking about that we wanted them to do, was to go more zombie and less supernatural from the movie standpoint. It seems like they're going more zombie related, especially if they're primarily going with like a welcome to Raccoon City. Like if they're like, because obviously the other movies had a Raccoon City influence taking place in Raccoon City, but like they've never before said like, hey, welcome to Raccoon City. So like it seems like they might be going like with an early zombie outbreak, Raccoon City Umbrella Corp.
hopefully they restart the system. Basically, is what I'm hoping
Right.
for.
Yeah. It
Um,
needs to be like a full reboot. Like it can't have anything to do with the other 6 movies at all. It has to be a complete reboot and have nothing to do with them, which would make sense because you've recast Jill Valentine, so obviously you would need to do a reboot,
well, she
right?
technically wasn't Jill Valentine in the movie.
Well, yeah, true. Okay, it's just they can't mention that these other movies. They can obviously you have to mention like, oh, they've been a shady corporation, but like they can't make any mention of anything that happened in the other movies,
I just
like
hope
at
that
all.
they like will come out and blatantly state like, "Whoa, you're almost a Jill sandwich back there," just to reference the games in
Just to
some form.
reference it. Oh, man. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, so far, I mean, Resident Evil, obviously, you talk about from 96 to 2021, like dozens of games, at least I'd say 2 dozen games across various different franchises, 3 or 4 board games, 6 major motion pictures with a 7th to come, 3 animated movies with one coming out in July of 2021. I mean, that's universally a deep fandom and a deep franchise, like to get that much in like 25, 26 years or whatever. Like
I
that's
mean, easily you're worth over like 12 billion.
yeah, it's huge. And here's another thing too. It's like, can you ever see another company making a Resident Evil game
Then Capcom?
than
No,
Capcom? Yeah.
no, no, I can't. But then again, at the same time,
Because
can I see Capcom? Can I see Capcom making like keeping this up for the next 10 years? Probably not. I think
no,
if
there
they hit
needs.
Resident Evil 10, they're gonna drop. It'll stop.
I don't know if it'll stop. I feel like they'll do a reboot
Well, they already
where
started. They've already started. They have 2 as a reboot already. They're getting ready to drop 4 as a reboot.
yeah, no, I mean like a full on like they'll go from like 10 and they'll re-release a game legit just called Resident Evil, like I don't know something, and it'll be brand new. It'll be like no Leon, no Chris Redfield, no Jill Valentine. Like the only way to continue the franchise after
Like with Resident Evil Village, not Resident Evil 8 coming out.
Yeah, they've made the creators at Capcom has made sure to make clear that it's Resident Evil Village is not Resident Evil 8.
But for those out there, it's a major installment of the Resident Evil series and a narrative sequel to 2017's Resident Evil 7 Biohazard. The game will follow Ethan Winters, who, after a fateful encounter with Chris Redfield, finds himself in a village filled with mutant creatures in an effort to find his kidnapped daughter. While the village maintains the series' mainstay survival horror elements, the game adapts a more action-oriented gameplay style compared to its predecessor. So we're excited to go out and get this ourselves to play it. I personally like to play the Resident Evil games in the dark because if it's not completely scary.
Yeah, I've loved what I've seen so far to the point where, like, even watching Chugs beat the game, because I'll watch it and watch him beat it, I'll still play it, and because it just looks so good.
Exactly. And for those out there who don't want to play it or they want to see somebody play it first, currently the Chugs on Twitch, aka Adam Cole, is running the game as much as he can.
Yeah,
on stream for
blind
us.
playthrough.
And so go ahead and check him out. For everybody else out there who likes listening to our podcasts, don't forget you can find us every Sunday on the Scene Snobs Network. Mark, where else can they help us out?
Super awesome, fun places. So every major podcasting platform, obviously, go out, not only listen to it, but make sure you subscribe, download episodes, leave a review. Like that stuff does help out. So if you're listening to this, please make sure to subscribe and leave a review. It helps kind of get us in front of more people. We do have a couple different ways you can help out. You can go to buymeacoffee.com/fandom podcast. You can do like little quick donations, which go towards stuff. Or if you want to donate, but also get perks out of it, you can go to our Patreon, patreon.com/fandom effect podcast. And we got a couple different tiers. I'm going to overhaul them pretty soon to add in a couple new things. But you can subscribe to different tiers there and you'll get different rewards like access to our Discord, shout outs at the end of every major episode during interviews and things like that. If you donate at our top tier, you get a chance to either game with me. So you get all that and you get a chance. You can either game with me and Devin. I'll run a D&D one shot for everybody where I'll be your dungeon master. A lot of different things. So please go ahead and please support us on Patreon. All the stuff goes towards us saving up money to upgrade our equipment, green screens, microphones, headsets, whatever it is, you name it. That's what we're saving up money for and upgrading our equipment. We got a lot of cool stuff in the works. We're going to be doing a lot more segments like this, and we're going to make our interviews more exclusive to the things that you guys care about, like nerdy or geekier things. We're going to keep our guests a little bit more exclusive from an interview standpoint. But you can catch us, like Devin said, every Sunday, the Scene Snobs Network, every Friday, bright and early for our major episode releases, and then every other Tuesday for our bonus episodes where we try to go into like more of the fun segments. Like obviously so far this month, we released our Star Wars episode as our first bonus episode, and our second one where me and Devin are going to try to do why Ash is the worst Pokemon trainer of all time for our second bonus episode coming up in a couple weeks here. So, that's generally how we will try to split stuff up. You can catch us on all those platforms there, everybody. Or if you want to follow us, Facebook and Twitter at Fandom Effect, very, very simple. Or if you want to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/Bushido Geek. I do stream games periodically on there as well. And then obviously YouTube at Fandom Effect. Subscribe to us on YouTube as well so we can grow all of our fun stuff.
I also would like to let everybody know that me and Mark are currently getting our merch store set up. So you will be able to get Fandom Effect t-shirts shortly and or possibly mugs. We're trying to work out like a heat changing mug right now, but it's kind of been difficult for me.
It's trickier. But yeah, so our merch store is gonna be up and running soon. We're gonna have some cool quoted t-shirts with some of the stuff that we go over. If you really like hearing me talk, I'm going to be changing the dates on it, but I do a new show on Saturdays on my Twitch and the Scene Snobs Network, but I might be changing that up because it's it's kind of annoying having to do it on scene stops, so I might do it on my own and pull it off. Just because I need to do it at my own schedule, you know.
Yeah. Well,
but lots of fun stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this. If you have a gaming franchise that you want us to dive into, or something like that, like just at random examples, BioShock, things like that you want us to kind of dive into and talk about the series and stuff like that, feel free to send us a message, anything that I just mentioned, and we'll go ahead and shoot it off and get it done.
If there's a fandom that you want us to explore, whether it's crocheting, croquet, polo, pool cleaning, sewing, backyard building, anything like that, me and Mark are up to it. So just send us a message. Let us know what you're interested in, what kind of stuff you want us to talk about. We can also possibly do a watch along at some point with you guys. So
which I wanted to do, as I looked up the list of like the top 25 worst video game movies of all time. And I'm like, that would be a fun watch along thing to start making our way through that list from the worst to the best of video game movies.
But anyway, if you guys have any questions or any concerns with us, please let us know at our Facebook page. It'll go right into the deleted folder for everybody. Yep. And we also like to do a shout out to our sponsors.
Yeah. We're on our page. Yeah.
Aluminum cans.
Yeah. Aluminum cans.
They're going to hold your pop for you and your beer. Thank you, aluminum cans.
You're the best. Hashtag we need a sponsor. But we'll see you guys on the very next edition of the Fandom Effect podcast. And always remember that when one fandom rises, 3 more will rise to join it, because we're all connected by different fandoms. And that will do it for this edition of the Fandom Effect podcast. And we'll see you guys next time.
Run the credits.